Hi, I'm Rob Price, and I'm talking to CEOs about AI. Welcome to Futurize.
Hello, my name is Błażej Zyglarski, which is actually quite difficult to pronounce in most languages, so maybe you can call me Blaze. I'm from Simplita, from company which is based in Toruń, Poland, and we were founded almost 18 years ago. For almost 2 decades, we have been building what it is called good technologies, privacy first and human first infrastructures and systems. And we built our reputations on two things. First one was PrivaMix platform, which is zero knowledge communication toolkit. Second is fintech platform, which alone processes around 1 billion of API requests per day. But more recently, we have launched Deepfellow, our private AI framework. I am the CTO of this organization, so I am responsible for all the most important architectural decisions and about controlling and leading all the teams to create that such good software for use all over the world.
Blaze,
So
I am going to take advantage of your offer to kind of call you Blaze, if that's okay. I do
yeah,
have a Polish co-founder, but even with her guidance, I will still kind of go for Blaze as an option. I first
yes,
first met your team in London a few weeks ago when we ran a panel on sovereign AI, and I was really interested in that conversation from a European perspective. I mean, most of my career I've worked in Europe for European organizations. I've had teams in Poland. I'm really interested in exploring privacy and deployment of agentic solutions in the EU and in that regulated space. I'm just interested to kind of maybe start with how you found it as a kind of natural evolution from that deep background that you've got around privacy. I'm guessing that gives you a good head start for moving into the agentic space and AI space, but applying that same control.
yeah, of course, it was the obvious step for our company when the AI has emerged in the general world. We decided to continue our journey to privacy and to think about how it should really work in the real and safe world. So that's why we actually created the Deepfellow framework. And of course, the European Union is also a very important part of that journey because having to work in that market which we belongs to uh, is quite difficult. Um, Actually, in today's world, we see that US leads in all innovations, while in most cases, Europe seems to be focused on only the privacy things or on the regulatory parts of that businesses. But I think this is our strongest feature in European software technologies. So thanks to that compliance, we can be sure that systems that works inside European organizations are safe and can be managed in proper way. And actually, I think that is what most companies will treat us as the very important part of the software. In US, we still can hear about problems when AI agents go rogue or they are trying to delete all the informations inside the organization or something like that. In the European, having that framework for controlling all the workflows, AI workflows, we have a little bit better confidence that it will work eventually and won't kill our businesses.
I think one of the things that I talk a lot about is this difference of philosophy, perhaps, between models and organizations that are consuming models to kind of explore and do work, and organizations that need some sort of governance layer, control plane,
Mhm.
trust layer, which I think kind of is what you're describing. It'd be interesting to hear a bit more about what you mean by the framework that you've described in terms of is that an approach? Is that a technical harness that constrains agents to kind of more precisely do the thing that they're intended to do? It would be good to kind of understand a bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. I think we should clarify that uh, every AI model which is available on the market right now is probabilistic by nature. So in most cases, you can't rely on the model behavior. You can't rely on the model decisions because in most cases, you can't be sure what model will do. Even models which are in most approaches and very good and are doing the job they are supposed to do, have a chance to simply break out from the prompt and do something they are not intended to. So asking a model to govern itself or to be a predictable part of the system is completely insane because it can't be such mechanism. It can't be used as enforcement mechanism. That's simply the architectural error. So governance belongs in the orchestration layer. So we in Simplito are creating basically that governance layer, which allows you to orchestrate all models calls, all models decisions, all models interactions with the systems, and allow to record all that interactions, allow to decide what can be done, what can't be done, allow to check any kind of interaction proposed by that models. And this is the tool level approach to validate the whole AI-based systems. So you asked what is the framework. The framework, by the framework, I mean software architectural framework. So all those components you can use creating ready to go, production ready AI-based system, which simplifies most of that governance tasks you have to do if you want to be sure that your system is really working like it is intended to. Of course, it doesn't stop at the technical layer because governance also has to live in the organization itself. You have to build clear ownership of each agents. You have to define all the paths the agents can use. You have to identify people which are accountable for outcomes, for example. And I suppose we can say that governance is infrastructure, software infrastructure, plus a process which should be identified in the first place before attaching any kind of AI model inside the organization.
One of the things that I'm really interested in throughout the conversations that I've had on the podcast is how viable, how possible is it to do that for anybody's agents, anybody's agent teams? So is your framework one or architecture one that sits across multiple agent providers in multiple agent systems, if you like? So if I've got SAP agents and I've got ServiceNow agents and I've got OpenAI agents, will it sit on top of all of those, or is it specifically around a subset or your own constrained agents so that you've got more certainty of the behaviors of that capability. And the reason I ask that is I think that ability to kind of do it across any agent anywhere is I haven't found that yet in the market, because that's really hard, because it's that uncertainty about how they're structured, how they're built, how they're put together. How's it apply?
Thinking about agents, we have to understand that any kind of agent is actually a system, fragment of a software, which is running prompts to AI model, which sits below. And from choosing from any kind of agent you can run or download or run inside your infrastructure, actually all can be configured to use almost all available models in the market. So, for example, programming agent can use Anthropic models or OpenAI models or locally installed models in the company. But each configuration is always connected to some decisions you have to make about your data. If you are using agent which is utilizing OpenAI APIs in the OpenAI cloud, you basically send all the data to that system. If you want to keep it local, you have to use some kind of framework or some kind of system which allows to run your local models. And that's the place when our Deepflow actually sits. We've got all that components which allow you to configure practically any kind of AI provider, from the local models, from the system which runs on Apple Macs, by the system which runs on NVIDIA hardware, also including that cloud-based system like OpenAI APIs or Anthropic APIs. And of course, we have to mention about confidential computing systems, which allow you to run models externally with proper encryption of the data. But basically, Deepflow allows you to orchestrate all that providers and build actually a very efficient hybrid system, which in the end will allow your agents strict APIs to ask and send prompts, because this is the foundation of any kind of AI nowadays. By sending that prompt, we should understand that this is actually sending all the data you are working on. You have to, by that prompts, you have to get also access to any kind of your internal data, internal databases, or internal integrations with your expert systems. So we sit in the cross of all that connections and allow you to build something which really knows what is happening inside your infrastructure. So by agentic approaches, we should understand all that interactions between those systems. And of course, if you are talking about multi-agentic systems, you have to know that in most cases, you don't have to use big AI models because they are very expensive to use. In most cases, you need only designated models which are capable to do some certain tasks. For example, if you want some models to have a model which is recognizing information on the picture, you don't need a model which you don't need to use a model which also can write a poem or analyze scientific data, because that full capable model, which will be a lot larger and will cost a lot more. And that expertization actually of the models is the best way to achieve good good effects and to prevent from escalating of the cost of the system. Yeah, maybe one more word. This is the, I suppose, the best approach nowadays to build very sophisticated multi-agent systems which delegate specific tasks to expert models.
I'm interested from what you've said to know whether the framework kind of is about privacy and control, or whether it also goes into solving some of the kind of challenges around context, for example, because the more that you have interaction and communication between agents of whatever source or power or capability, the more that you're going to have to solve context to enable them to do useful work. So is it enabling you to govern and control privacy and security? Or is it also kind of extending into how do I get a quality output as well by solving some of the supplementary capability that is going to inevitably be needed?
Yes, great question. Thank you very much for that. Because yes, we are now. I was focusing on that control and sovereignty part, but the idea of the whole deep fellow framework is to simplify most tasks which are required in any kind of application of AI system in the company. So we have solutions for managing great big sets of data. We have pre-configured databases, vector databases. We have systems for analyzing files, uploading, downloading, and chunking files ready to go. We've got integrations with most popular MCP services, and actually using our system with open source models is as simple as clicking on the dashboard web app. So most of the tasks which are required to build fully working AI systems are already in the Deepfellow framework. We've got such solutions like Night Shift, which can be used for fine-tuning open source models, or hybrid surges, which allow you to which gives you better results in the search of vector databases. We've got plans for features like building knowledge graphs, which allow you to have more awareness about what is actually in the databases and how the informations inside that database are connected with each other. We've got a part which is called Deepfellow Threat Intelligence, and that is the part of framework which is responsible for finding for detecting threats inside the prompts or analyzing models which you are using. We've got a couple of bunch of batch services which allow you to simplify building and managing a large scale installations of that inference, because this is also a thing you have to know that any model, especially LLMs, LLM models are very consume very big amounts of computational power. So if you have a company of couple of hundreds people which you want to use that AI systems, you have to build very, very sophisticated inference, many of graphic cards, many of servers, which allows you to run that models. And we are doing all that infrastructural things so that building of that infrastructure is very easy for the developers of the companies.
So one of the things that I'm really interested to explore, there must be limits with this. So what do I mean by that? I'm putting myself back into my European company days and kind of working under the EU AI Act, for example, and thinking if I mean, we can talk about agentic, and people often associate that with autonomous. And my last podcast, we talked a bit about open claw. My,
Mhm.
I would imagine that if we were talking about something that was wholly autonomous and operating in the EU in an enterprise business, how are you seeing the market react to some of those things at the edge of capability, things at the edge of what people are comfortable with? How are they landing in Europe, and how do you therefore support or maybe draw a line with some of those that says actually kind of there is a limit in terms of what can be governed?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I think the fully autonomous agent systems are the matter of time. And I suppose in a couple of years, we will see a lot more of such approaches when fully autonomous will work. But we have to think about what kind of companies can afford, can really, with confidence, can really use such solutions. And in most regulated sectors, I don't think it will be, it is true that we can afford ourselves to put, give those agents completely autonomous possibilities. In most companies in the history, the most important thing was to have the control of what is happening, to have the ability to control the process and to verify that process. And that's why all that approaches like Scrum or Agile programming have emerged. For example, in the area of software development, but most corporations have very sophisticated processes which prevents from doing things by accident. And that's the crucial part of the AI implementation in such companies, because AI processes also has to be controlled and the companies has to have the ability to control and audit all the interactions the AI is really doing in the system. And I believe that most of that regulated environments will still have that procedures when there is a human in the loop interactions, which have to attest and approve any kind of AI actions, which can cause some real life effect or can influence of the state of the working procedure. So I suppose that's the most important thing we have to know about that.
I completely agree. I mean, having worked, for example, in financial services sector, you cannot just let loose some of those capabilities
That's true.
in a highly regulated and controlled space. There has to be a governance layer. And even then, kind of, you have to know that you can govern it, can kind of manage that risk. One of the things when we had the Sovereign AI panel 2, 3 months ago, I've seen quite a lot of change in Europe written about in terms of organizations choosing to make different choices around some of their technology sourcing. They are kind of beginning to try and look towards European organizations for the provision of some of that. Have you seen that yourselves? Is that presenting a bigger opportunity for you as an organization based in Europe because kind of more people are coming to you because you are based in Europe, as well as having got that strong focus around privacy?
Yeah, actually, our roots in Europe are very good arguments all over the world, especially in US when you are talking telling that we are from Poland and we basically are in that regulated environment since a couple of years already. The level of trust is much more higher, and the talk is more pleasant from that point.
So you found it works in reverse in terms
Yeah,
of
yes, yes,
because you
yes,
have to operate in Europe and because of that tight control, then people trust you because you've architected for that solution.
yes, that's true.
That's fantastic. So, how do you see that evolving? I mean, I read an article that said something along the lines of 2027 was seen as the year of the trust layer or the governance layer, because a lot of the focus is still around the models themselves. But surely that need is now. It's kind of I just don't necessarily see that the world has understood that yet. How do you find that people are recognizing and wanting what you have built and what you've described?
I think we have to divide the world into parts because there is big AI and a lot of companies which are loading a tons of money to build all that models and provide the best capabilities on the models. And they are telling us about the world when the AI will rule everything and can do everything, etc. And they are not talking about those constraints or those governance things at all, because this is not their goal. They want to have the best models possible. Any in most cases, the governance is something they are interested in only when the some regulations from government or nationwide regulations are simply forcing them to change the behavior of models, put there some kind of threat detections, etc., etc. But we need to understand that those are the loudest AI companies in the world, and they are here in all the world the best. But any kind of regulated company and company which is working in the regulated sector is actually aware that the governance is something we should do right now, and we cannot wait because this is important at this point already. I think this is the most important reason that we are still working and we are still have all that procedures, and we don't see that AI is getting all the jobs all over the world, because this governance part requires time. It has to be planned very, very good, and it has to be glued together with already existing procedures. And this isn't so easy as the big AI companies are telling us. And I sometimes have that feeling that we are living in two separate worlds with two different speeds of improvements and speeds of adoption of AI. And I think this will be actually continued in following years. So regulated sectors like finance, healthcare, or public administration will move much slower. They will build that sovereign auditable systems step by step. But in not regulated or less regulated customer facing sectors, the speed will be much higher, and they will move faster and adopt that AI faster.
Blaze, it's such an important point, and I think, I mean, I totally agree. It's really hard. It is not an easy thing that kind of you are doing, and applying that in an enterprise space that is highly regulated, highly controlled, that people's jobs are at risk if it goes wrong, and things of that nature.
Mhm.
That's really hard, and that's different from consumer adoption and kind of doing some nice images or writing a nice song,
Yeah,
and it's different
that's
from discovery and research and materials or new drug research and things like that. So
yes. If you are creating one more funny image, you can use that image which goes wrong, or simply ask to generate another one. But in that regulated things or in the research, you cannot allow yourself to make that errors and mistakes.
completely. So if we can finish with, I guess, a question for you, which would be, look, I mean, it's a fascinating kind of market, isn't it? And kind of you and I can tell from the passion that you bring to the conversation, it's an exciting place to be. But equally, there's some things that need to have to evolve and change. So what's the one thing that you would love to see change over the next kind of 6 months, or are most excited about bringing to the market? What what do people need who are listening now need to know that you've got a kind of really strong kind of desire to see in the next 6 months?
Actually, I would like to see one thing. Big AIs are presenting AI as like a magical thing, and one ultimate solution for everything. And I would like for people to understand that there is not such a thing in the world. And in most cases, some if something pretends to solve every problems, it won't solve particular problems with enough of the effort, or with proper approach. And we have to understand that most tasks in the world are much sophisticated than generating another image. And it requires a lot of effort to use AI systems in such procedures. And that it won't happen magically. And it requires still a lot of human effort and work and architectural work and architectural solutions to do it good with confidence. So basically, that's what I would like to people to understand.
Completely agree with you on that. Blaze, it's been a pleasure to talk to you on the podcast and love the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you today.